Hello, welcome back to Trell's Truckers week 2. And here's some accountability for my round 1 score. It's not exactly where I'd like it to be, but I was hoping for maybe 1300 and something. But early on, missed out on Trey Mooney, missed out on Helam Lukey, but turned it around with having a few bunnies in the back end. So 50,000, not too bad. I think I've picked up on some cheapies as well. I'll go over my team, but solid start. And if you didn't know who I was, I'm Julian. I'm owner of JT's Supercoach, and last year I was ranked 80. Just a little credentials in case you were worried about the score I posted this week and whether you should be listening to my advice or not. Was pretty happy last year, but hopefully this year can crack into the top 50. I know that a bunch of people in my league were leading the whole thing for a while. Yeah, there's some strong competitors in my league last year. I didn't even get like top 3. Anyways, I'm here to do the week 2 cheapies and sells first. So the cheapies this week, we have Moses Leo. Everybody kind of, I'll just make myself a bit smaller first. Moses Leo, he's got great base. He scored last week. He's scored 90 something. I like the way he looked. He took runs out of backfield as well. Decent work rate. He's playing the Dragons this week as well. So I think if you can get him and you get him in. And the man everyone's talking about, Noah Martin, 116 points, 2 tries, good base. I actually outlined last week. I looked at his stats from last year. He played the last round. He based something in the 60s over an 80-minute game, and he's just come out and shown that he can back that up this year. Ethan Sanders. Luckily, I went Sanders over Atkinson, knowing what the Dragons had last year with Flanagan and like in Kintonga. They weren't great halves in terms of Supercoach scoring, so I took a flyer on Sanders, and he looked really good. Minor premiers last year as the Raiders, so can't put it past them to come up with a good performance with a bunch of attack. If you had 2 cheapy halfbacks, I definitely count on him more than Atkinson. Atkinson just sort of took a role where he was kicking the ball, just defending, and he didn't look like he was really likely to make much attack. Sanders, on the other hand, I think is a trade in immediately. I don't think you can afford to have 2 gun halfbacks at this point of the year. So he's gonna you should probably ride him to about 400, 500k, and then reassess later. So those are the ones that if you wanted to jump on this week, I'd say go right ahead. The guys who you can take a look at, maybe you want to take one more week to take a look. Ryan Couchman, this week he's versing Melbourne Storm. Also, his numbers in his minutes is up for debate. It looks like they'll be relatively similar this week, but with Jacob Little coming back, his minutes might drop down because Cook has been playing the full 80, I believe. So yeah, some of the minutes will be taken there. Couchman, they have a good draw. The Dragons actually have a good draw coming up. And I know Toby Couchman and Ryan Couchman both work real hard. Get a lot of base and point. Get a lot of base. I think it's a watch and wait. It's probably one of the things I'm going to boost for next week. And if he continues to push out 60s, I'm happy to change Cooper By to Ryan Couchman. Expect his minutes to take a drop a little bit, but he's still going to make a lot of money. Your 5th center wing cheapie. So a lot of people would have 5 already, but at the moment I'm missing Moses Leo. I know that last week I was considering, do I need 5? And I've got a slide later on. I have a slide on running the 5 center wing cheapies. And I think it's possible if you look at the draw that's coming up, and some of these players have pretty decent base. So it's not out of the question if they're all going to make money if Chester stays in the Cowboys team. Yeah, it might be a 5 center wing cheapie route. 3, Chan and Lasardi. So Sean Bloor is still looming, and I think we'll get our confirmation next week's team lists. whether somebody drops out, whether somebody goes to a bench role, I don't think you should jump on now, not knowing that. But if you're lucky enough to have them, I think hold them. You could even play them against the Dragons this week. Cody Walker. Cody Walker came out looking really good. The Bunnies in general came out looking really good. I think preseason, you could tell that if Cody plays good, the Bunnies will go good. And that he has so many attacking options when he runs the ball. It's just like he will pick the right option, and there's always an option. So it's kind of a deadly combo. He's gone and scored over 100. I think you can wait, although this week will be a big one with the Roosters. I think the Roosters will get up in defense because it's just such a big clash, and Alex Johnston might hit the try scoring record. They probably don't want that to happen against them. Um, you can see, because I don't want to get on him if I'm not already on him. And then if he gets a poor score, gets injured, your cash generation drops out in the first week. So the way that the rolling average works, there's a 3-week rolling average for each player to go up in price. So they're priced on their last 3 scores. Round 1 then drops out by round 4. So if Cody doesn't score that well, you can consider waiting on him. And also the Bunnies have a bye in round 4. So I know I'm relatively loaded up on Bunnies. I think it's a hold. Lukey and Mooney, those are the 2 guys I missed out last week. I think Lukey I would prefer over Mooney. We're still to see whether he's solidified his position with the full 80 minutes. I think that's why you can wait 1 more week. And Mooney looks good. Mooney looks like he's offloading. He's looking to offload all the time, and it looks like the Knights have given him the go-ahead to do that. And it's worked out well for them. So I'd assume that they continue with the same strategy. He was pretty lucky to get that try and line break counted last week. But yeah, 49 minutes. You'd like to see his minutes between 50 and 60, so he can pump out like 70, just below 70 in base. But yeah, he's a good pickup maybe next week, because you're going to have to make a decision on some of these 2RFs. Just so many good ones going around. The cells, Scott Drinkwater with the rib cartilage injury. He also got 21. He was very disappointing. But, if you're carrying that sort of injury, it's a pain management injury, and you don't really want to aggravate it too much. So he might be, not going through so much work. It still looks like a good matchup on paper against the Tigers, but the Tigers are fresh. The Tigers haven't played anyone yet. I think that he's a sell at the moment, just with Turbo and Ponga. You're going to have to basically make a choice on Turbo and Ponga. So I think Drinky has to go, because, in an ideal world, you'd probably want Ponga and Turbo. So there's no space for Drinky. Cooper Bai, his position has not changed. He's named on the bench again this week, and I think that he's just going to get his 25 minutes. I would sell. Laban got 40. Laban basically time shared with Leka Halasima, and 40 minutes isn't enough on the Warriors team to justify 299k. There's a bunch of cheapies this year, I'm gonna say. Probably the best out of any of the years I've played. So you don't really need these guys who are not getting to their full minutes potential, and they're not getting the points as some other players would be getting. Can wait a week. I think Kinney for Ponga and Turbo, you don't have to do that. Kinney's draw looks decent. He looked all right. It's just that the Titans got absolutely destroyed on the weekend. So although Ponga and Turbo both look good, I think that it's probably the smart option if you just pick one of them and stick with it. I think for me at the moment, Ponga's slightly cheaper. He goal kicks. He looks like he's really involved. Manly still have to prove that they can put on a lot of points. They gave Canberra Raiders a good run for their money, but they didn't pile on the points per se. Kailero, Kalero, I think you wait a week if you see another lowish score. If the attack doesn't go his way, I think you sell. You don't want to lose the money really, and you can always come back to him because you know he's a gun. You can come back to him at a lower price later on. Um, Lastly, Angus Crichton. He looked okay. He didn't offload much. He didn't tackle break and offload like that 2023 season, I think. 2024 maybe, where he was just the best 2RF by far and away. Um, he didn't get yeah, he's not really pushing people off and making the tackle breaks and making the offloads. I think that he's still a wait and see. He's still an X gun, and it looks like with Cody and all that, the X guns are firing this year. So this week we're looking at the changes in bench for Ryan Couchman. The bench looks much the same. It looks like it's just been Matt Vienai is changed out for David Farley. Um, at the moment, I don't see that the minutes will change too much. I think that next week or when Jacob Little comes back, I'm not exactly sure what his timeline is. I saw a tweet that his minutes will probably drop by 10 to 15, which is still good. You'll still make enough money to warrant trading to him, but I just want to see one more week and see what sort of break even we're looking at. So moving on, as I was talking before, 5 cheapy center wings. I don't think I've ever done this strategy before. Before we didn't even have the flex, so it would have been basically craziness to have 5 cheapy center wings to start the season. You have Feimani, Moses Leo, Tom Chester, Setutu, and Makasini. So I've gone and identified from round 2 onwards which matchups I'd be happy to play these players in. Next week or this week looks like 4 matchups are decent. I just would sit Setutu for sure against Melbourne. The week after, you could play all of them, to be honest. Moses Leo looks like he has a good base, but they're playing the Broncos. Other than that, Feimani 2, Chester, if he maintains the spot, and Makasini all look like plays. The week after, I'd probably play Moses Leo against the Cowboys. So that's round 4. And Setutu against Gold Coast. So that's 2 of them. And in the weeks following, there's 2 or 3 matchups that I'd still play. So if you're looking at having 5 cheapy center wings, you sit 3 of them on the bench. The 2 RFs look good as well, so it looks like you can reserve a few of them. Doesn't mean you need to play any of the 3 cheapies in your center wing slots as reserve. So you're probably playing the one in flex and you're playing the one in the team. That's why I've said there's a 2 minimum. And I think, yeah, it looks pretty safe to play even 3 every week. The only pause I'd have about this strategy is Tom Chester. Zach Labour is looking at coming back round 3. So you may need to drop back down to 4 cheapies. If you say trade in your 5th cheapie this week, you're either going to need to come up with the money to turn the 5th cheapie into a gun, or you're just going to have to hold and wait until they get a few price rises, maybe wait for an injury or something. To look at this as well, I looked at the guns that I wanted to pair these cheapies with. Because I'm freeing up so much money, you can basically guarantee yourself an extra 3 guns and 5 cheapies. At the moment, I've got Herbie, Latrell, and Iro, but I've earmarked Stephen Crichton, Jacob Kraz, and Greg Marzu, maybe. Greg Marzu did look good. He always tackle breaks. It's just a matter of whether the Knights really have their attack back or not. If Ponga looks good next week, I'd be looking at Marzu. I think Kiraz is the standout one there, though, just because there's not enough slots left, right? I think I'd have to trade Iro to Kiraz. And at the moment, I have Toto. I don't have Leo. So that's my take on the cheapy center wings. I would say, yeah, I'm 75% leaning towards having 5 of them, Um, I think it's a decent strategy. I think if you make a lot of money on the cheapies early on, it's going to stand you in better stead come Origin time. Here's some of my picks and my antipods for the week. Um, so Kiraz obviously doesn't play this week, but I am very high on him. I like the way he looked in Vegas, and he was playing left wing, tackle busting, offloading, and running it out of backfield. Everything you want. Everything you want. I think he picked up a try as well for 99. That matchup, starting from round four, really he's got round four Newcastle Knights, round five Rabbitohs, then the Panthers, which is a bit tough, but then he's going into the Eels and then the Broncos, and then the Cowboys and then the Dolphins. So really, I think it's basically a must. You're gonna have some Bulldogs assets come round four, and Perez is my pick. Hines went really well last week. He has a bit of a mixed bag coming up, but I do believe. Look, I had Hines in for the longest time in my preseason, and then the Brandon Smith news hit, and then I didn't have enough money, so I downgraded to Moses, and that was pretty painful because I was pretty high on Hines. Not wanting to go with Cleary, who was a bit more expensive and had a hard draw. I just know that the pedigree is with Cleary and Hines for the past 3+ years. I wanted the second option. I think he's going to go okay against Penrith this week. Round 3, Dolphins. Round 4, Canberra. Round 5, Warriors. Round 6, Roosters. Then a bye. Round 8, Cowboys. Round 9, Tigers. Round 10, Souths. So you could look at picking him up at round 8, I guess, and then into Origin period, you sort of have your halfback your gun halfback that's not going to most likely play Origin. But I think I'll try to pick him up a bit earlier. If I can get him round 5, I'd be happy to do that and see how he has gone with his price rises or price falls from the Penrith and Canberra games. Lukey, as long as he stays in the team, he also has a good run. Round 2, Tigers. Round 3, Titans. Then Melbourne, Dragons, Broncos, Manly, and then it gets a bit tougher with Sharks, Bulldogs. So I think Cowboys have a good run up until round 7. And Valentine Holmes is not that popular at the moment, but I think he has a sneaky, really good run. And I think he's definitely the main Dragons asset that I look at in the backs. Round 2, Melbourne. Round 3, Para, Gold Coast, Cowboys. Those 3 already. Round 6, Manly, Souths. So basically five straight weeks where he could ton up. And then he's got Roosters, a bye, and Newcastle. So I think there's a lot of points on offer for the goal kicking there, as long as he can stay fit. Yeah, we're looking at him from round 3. The antipods. So I'm not looking at Farlongo at the moment. His base and power was 30, so he's without any scoring. His score would have been 30. He ended up scoring 116, but I don't know how that's not going to happen every week. Melbourne Storm are good, but they're not going to score 50 plus every week. His draw looks decent for the next 3 rounds. Dragons, Broncos, Cowboys, then Penrith, New Zealand Warriors, and Raiders. So 3 easy, 3 tough. I would stay away personally. Tino, it's a tough one. I think Farlongo is the main one. Tino and Cam Murray, I've sort of put in. Maybe you can leave them out. I don't think you'd rush to get them in, especially with Tino's break even. He's got the Dolphins, Cowboys, Dragons, Broncos, Para. So actually, that looks like a good run for the Titans. But I'm just not sure that he is going to get run into the ground in terms of minutes. Yeah, I think it's a watch and wait. And Cam Murray looked good. Cam Murray did look good. But with the amount of options that are underpriced in 2RF, I don't think you need to spend up for 540 odd K for someone who's probably going to score 60 something. And he's got a bye round 4. From round 4, it's a bye, Bulldogs, Raiders, St. George, Melbourne. It's a bit tough, bit of a tough run. Moving on. So I'm going for the upcoming good runs, mainly for the outside backs. Um, just identified a few teams that have some soft runs. From the Broncos, you have Reese Walsh. Round four, he has Dolphins, Titans, Cowboys, Tigers. So four could be crazy games, as you know everything's starting to click. Sam Walker from round seven, he has a soft run. He has Newcastle, St. George, Broncos, Titans, Cowboys. So five good weeks in a row for the Roosters from round seven. For the Titans, I would say Kinney is the only one I'm really looking at playing. The Titans from round two played Dolphins, Cowboys, Dragons, Broncos, Para, and then Warriors. So you have about a 5 week run there where Kinney looks good. So that's why I'm saying you probably need to have Kinney and either Ponga or Turbo. I think you need to make that decision this week or next week, I guess. Then the Bulldogs. So the Bulldogs boys, so Stephen Crichton, Kickow, Preston, Galvin, and Carraz. From round four, they've got Knights, Rabbitohs, then Penrith, then Para, Broncos, Cowboys, Dolphins. So two easy, one hard, and then four easy. Four with the Broncos splashed in, you never know. But look, Lockie Galvin looked really good. They've got to buy this week to rest up. I still think my pick of the bunch is Kiraz. Crichton did quite a bit, and he only scored 60. Just for some reason, his base is not as impressive. So it looks harder for him to get the scores, even though he's goal kicking. And then your two RFs, I think they're pretty stacked at the moment. But if you did want to zig while others zag, I think Preston is a pretty decent option. He's shown year after year that he can get to the line, he can get those tries and line break points. So, and his base is decent as well. So we're just waiting on seeing how that Galvin combo goes with him. This week, I have some sit and starts for you. These are for the cheapies. The sits, I would sit the Dragons guys, so Setutu and Daniel Atkinson. Pezzett for me is a sit just based on last week's performance. Brian Couchman versus the Storm, it seems that forwards always have really depressed scoring. I don't know whether it's the wrestle or what, but a guy coming off the bench where we're checking out his minutes against the Storm, I don't think you need to play him. And then lastly, Colquhoun. He's an okay play, but I think I'd sit him because I don't. I would like to go for upside rather than get around 40 points in 40 minutes. Yeah, so now the cheapie starts. Noah Martin, top of the list for me. He can score a try. His base is good. He looks like he's getting the 80. Matty Nicholson still has that shoulder injury. Yeah, he's a play for me for sure. Lissati and Joe Chan, they both against the Dragons. Decent matchup. Lissati has better base. Joe Chan has Jerome Hughes feeding him the ball. So we'll see. Macassini versus the Cowboys, and the Tigers have their first game. He did that crazy play in preseason. I think that he's just going to bust through people. Moses Leo after that, who has good base, also versus the Dragons, I would play. Trey Mooney, Tom Chester. I think Mooney is probably going to go for 60 odd. I think that his minutes will probably stay the same. I don't see them increasing or decreasing. Chester got 62 without any attack, I believe, last week. So, yeah, versus the Tigers, I think the Tigers are going to be not as poor defensively as they've been years past. But I still think that, you should play him or look at playing him because of his base. Even though the Cowboys' attack didn't look particularly good, if he just jags one attacking stat and he has his base, he's already near 80 enough. Reid Marnie, he's probably going to go out, score you 50 something. Just going to tackle the house down. So if you're looking for a safe play this week and you don't have anyone with genuine upside, you can play him. Paseka, Paseka looked good last week. He went for 60 something. Um, and Flegler, I think that you don't particularly want to be running your three or third or fourth front row at this point. You should probably have two gun front rows, maybe a gun front row Trey Mooney. So I think with the points coming through, and from what we've seen last week with the amount of six agains to start the season, you all information at the moment is pointing towards looking for some backs for extra points. So for this week, my trades, I'll go over my team first actually. In the hookers, I have Harry Grant, Reed Marnie. Front row forward, Haas, Kalomatangi, Paseka, Howe. 2RF, Crichton, Yo, Fafita. Joe Chan, Noah Martin, Cooper Bai. Halfback, Mitch Moses, Ethan Sanders. 5'8", Cody Walker, Jonah Pezzett. Centre wing, Farnworth, Mitchell, Iro, To'o, Makasini, Fayamani, and two. And this week, I've changed Scott Drinkwater to Ponga. So in my fullbacks, I have Ponga and Kinney. And then in my flex, I have Tom Chester. So at the moment, I have four center wing cheapies. I got the Sion Herbie at the moment against the Titans. Last game of the round, I think a lot of people do have that. I've changed Drinkwater for Ponga. Just chosen him over Turbo. I I don't think I will be able to get Turbo in. Things might change with Kinney, but I think I'm making my bed here. Um, choosing Ponga over Turbo. I think Ponga is slightly more durable as well. His goal kicking. Newcastle looks like they're playing completely differently on a new coach. Um, yeah, so I think there's attack coming, and Ponga looks to be the center of that attack. Um, for trades next week that I'm looking at, on the chopping block potentially is Kale Iro, looking at Kiraz or To'o. So yeah, looking at Kiraz and Moses Leo next week. But depending on whether Chester keeps his spot, Moses Leo, I've decided not to do that trade this week. Otherwise, I would have pulled the trigger. Um, on the chopping block, I guess Cooper buy, but it's sort of a low priority thing. It's based on the opportunity cost of whichever 2RF6 that I can get. So if Couchman stays like a good prospect, I think he will be the one to make the most money. And then otherwise, I'm pretty happy with Moses, Sanders, Crichton. Definitely happy with Cody Walker. Happy to carry Pezzett as well. Jackson Purdue is still a bit expensive for what he's offering. Yeah, I think that's why I can do one trade this week. Hold the boost for next week. I think if your squad does look like you need to do 5 trades in 2 weeks, you definitely should do the 2 trades this week. If something comes up, so if you have 3 trades earmarked for next week, based on the price rises, based on freeing up money to upgrade somewhere else, you should definitely do 2 trades this week, because if you have 3 earmarked for next week, you want to give yourself some wiggle room if something comes up that you're not sure of, that you can't foresee either. Someone gets injured, one of your guns gets injured. Yeah, I think using 2 trades this week, in terms of years gone past, I think it would have been, maybe you could say uh, it's a bit aggressive, but this year we have a lot of mispricing due to the new stat system and the new rules as well. The six again within an extra 20 meters of field seems to be giving people more fatigue, which is why we've gotten huge scores round one, which we usually don't see. So I think it's completely fine if you want to go through 5 trades in the first 2 weeks. I would say try not to use 2 boosts. Um, yeah, I would say if within round 2, 3, and 4, you can just use 1 boost, maybe week 3. That's probably a good um, evening out of trades. I mean, there's some trades with the Bulldogs, there's trades with the Rabbitohs, there's trades with the Sea Eagles that may be going on round 4. So you might also have a stacked round 4 and do 3 trades then. But if you think you're going to do that, I think you should try and hold that second boost and just do 2 this week then do 3, then do 2. That, I guess, is what I'd aim for. But at the moment, I'm relatively happy with my team. Moses Leo can wait a week, Couchman can wait a week, and Kiraz is on the bye, so he can definitely wait a week. Those are the 3 things I want to do. Um, yeah, so I'm pretty happy just doing the one. Don't run out of trades at the end of the year like everyone does in their first season, like I did as well. Good luck and happy super coaching. Good luck for next week. Bye.